thousands of students gather on the sunlit lawn of the University of Arizona, wearing caps and gowns. They are minutes away from receiving their degrees and stepping out into one of the most unpredictable job markets in modern history. Former Google CEO Eric Schmidt steps up to the podium to deliver the commencement address. He tells the crowd about the architects behind modern artificial intelligence, framing it as the defining tool their generation will use to shape the future. The crowd's response is immediate. Thousands of students begin booing him. As Schmidt continues, insisting they are standing on the edge of a rapid technological transformation, the jeers only get louder. For a tech executive who spent a career building Silicon Valley, artificial intelligence looks like the ultimate productivity engine. But for young adults watching thousands of tech and media workers lose their jobs every month, automation feels like a direct threat to their wages and basic economic stability. The default optimism that fueled the internet age has fractured. The people building the tools and the people expected to use them are looking at the exact same software, but they are imagining two completely incompatible futures. In the past, progress usually arrived as a straightforward hardware update. If Apple registered a new set of Beats over-ear headphones with the FCC, you bought them if you wanted better sound, and simply ignored them if your current pair worked just fine. The push for generative AI is accelerating the pace of hardware obsolescence. Later this year, Apple's iOS 27 update is expected to drop all software support for the iPhone 11, a best-selling model that many people are still actively using. The cutoff is strictly tied to processing limits. The older A13 Bionic chip inside these phones simply lacks the larger 16-core neural engine and the expanded RAM necessary to process Apple's advanced on-device AI features. Millions of consumers will soon have to decide whether to stick with an outdated operating system or spend hundreds of dollars on a new device. They're being forced to shoulder the financial burden of upgrading to keep pace with a technological shift they aren't entirely sure they even want. Google is dealing with its own transition, pivoting its core product from a standard search bar to a conversational AI interface. The company claims more than 1 billion people are using this AI mode every month, with the total number of queries doubling every single quarter. This chart compares how people interact with information online. A traditional search session used to last an average of 45 seconds. Now, users are having sustained conversations with Gemini, driving the average session time up to 3.2 minutes. But as this next line reveals, those interactive answers have to be sourced from somewhere. The AI model synthesizes raw data from articles written by human scientists, journalists, and artists. As a result, many independent news and publisher websites are seeing their search traffic plummet, down as much as 60%. Businesses are scrambling to adapt to this new ecosystem. A Berlin-based startup called Peck AI recently crossed $10 million in annual revenue, just by helping companies track their visibility inside these generative engine answers. Google is successfully keeping users on its own platform for longer periods, but doing so creates a negative feedback loop. If publishers can't monetize their traffic, they stop creating the high-quality human data the AI requires to function in the first place. In 2025, the technological push into generative audio collided with a tragedy in Louisville, Kentucky, the crash of UPS Flight 2976. Under strict federal law, the National Transportation Safety Board is barred from releasing the actual cockpit audio recordings from plane crashes. This rule exists specifically to protect the privacy and dignity of the deceased. This animation illustrates the technical loophole that was exploited. To comply with transparency laws, the agency published a 2D spectrogram, a mathematical image of the sound frequencies. Members of the public took that image, ran it through AI tools alongside the written transcript, and reverse-engineered the visual data back into spoken audio. These approximations of the pilot's final moments quickly spread across social networks. The victims' families were suddenly confronted with the synthetic, resurrected voices of their loved ones online. This incident exposed a profound oversight in the developer community. The people who built the audio reconstruction proved their technical skills by demonstrating they could extract the data without pausing to consider the human cost of actually doing it. The NTSB immediately responded by pulling 42 active investigations from their public database, locking down access to figure out how to protect sensitive data from artificial intelligence. We are now looking at a stark legal vacuum. Regulators will likely have to invent a new category of digital death rights, drafting federal legislation that explicitly requires family consent before anyone can use a computer to generate a deceased person's voice or likeness. This ethical overreach mirrors the anxieties of the graduates at the University of Arizona. These incidents aren't isolated. They represent a widening gap between the tech industry's ambitions and the public's tolerance for disruption. Some regions are already adjusting their approach. In European markets, investors are increasingly demanding extreme pragmatism. They are funding startups that can show strict, sustainable revenue today, rather than promising total industry upheaval tomorrow. The era of moving fast and breaking things worked when the casualties were outdated software models. When the collateral damage includes human livelihoods and the dignity of victims, the rules change. If the tech industry cannot balance its computational scale with actual responsibility, society will continue to aggressively reject the tools designed to serve it.